Hello and welcome to episode 13 of The Black Feather, an Ospreys Rugby fancast. Well, hello, you two.
Oh yeah, you all right? Back on the pod after a
Back
week
again.
sent
Did
you.
you miss me?
We did miss
Absolutely,
you.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dearly.
Can
with
you
every
tell?
bullet. Um,
You didn't hear us slagging you off on the pod last week then.
yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Got a bone to pick with you both. I was not sorting my Christmas jumpers, although I do have a Christmas jumper for pretty much every day in December.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sorting my Christmas mugs. I've only got 5 Christmas mugs, soon to be 6. So, but I was actually out. I took my mum to a show to see a swinging Rat Pack Christmas in Swansea Grand Theatre. I was a busy girl last week. Went to see that on Tuesday, went to see Rod Gilbert on Friday, and I went to see a George Michael tribute on Saturday.
Ooh.
But, we are here. We are now back for episode number 13. I'm back in the reins. I'm here to keep you under control. Rod, I'm doing a you today in my house now, wearing someone else's jersey, is now affectionately known as doing a Rod. So I'm here in my Scotland jersey today. But we're on episode 13. Some would say unlucky for some guys.
Not for
Mhm.
us, Dad. We'll be fine.
I'm not much for superstitions, to be fair. I'm not that bothered. But it's nice to be back. I spent some time with our Irish and our Safa friends last week on their pod. Don't know if you watched it, but I just don't think they knew what Hurricane Sam was until it fully hit them. You know,
Quite an
don't think
impact
they
there,
were
Sam.
prepared. They were not prepared for me. Um, but I'm back. It's a bit like, being back with you two is a bit like slipping into a nice lukewarm bath. It's comfortable, it's friendly, it's nice. So, right, it could depress you all, and we could discuss the weekend's results, but I think we've all what can we say? Welsh rugby is where Welsh rugby is at the minute. We are where we are. I think it's been talked over. We know there's a Welsh Rugby Union review that's taking place. Abby Teeny has said she's hoping for it to be done and dusted by the 17th of December. So I think let's hold off Welsh Rugby Union chat
Mhm.
until then, shall we, guys?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, Saturday was boys against men, wasn't it? Looking back now, I think the score was what it was because South Africa weren't maybe on it. If they'd wanted to score more points, they probably could have done. And yeah,
Yeah.
the autumn's been a massive disappointment, isn't it? We said 1 win minimum. We've got 0 wins, and just
Yeah.
the way those results went and the sort of performances more than the results really have been massively disappointing. But we've talked so much about it the last few weeks. I don't know what else there is to say, to be honest. It is
Well,
depressing.
shining
Yeah.
lights for me, doing Jack, not just saying that from an Osprey perspective, but saying that from a Welsh rugby fan's perspective. And I think the stats from Saturday speak for themselves with regards to the work rate that Derry and Jack portrayed.
Yeah.
Um, these are the lads that we need to build something around now. They're obviously leaders on field, they're leaders off field. And I think if anything can come out of this review, I think Ken Owens came out last week, like tail end of last week, and said he'd offered to stay on with the Welsh Rugby Union, have a role where he can mentor the younger players. That was declined at the time. It looks as though they are bringing some of those players in now to mentor some of the younger lads. So we can only but hope for good from here on in. Obviously, the Rugby Player Awards on Sunday in Monaco looked a bit of a dazzling affair with them all looking rather battered and bruised but spruced up. No real surprises there, really, with the awards that went on. Um, can I just say, though, I did enjoy that Scotland game against Australia on the weekend. Very much did. Um, and I got a little bit of a soft spot for Finn Russell. He's just something else, and he's bonkers.
Yeah.
Um,
I have
don't
to
know
say,
if
I
you.
did enjoy it, but it was also made our result against them the previous week all the more depressing as well. The fact
Mm,
that Scotland beat them fairly comfortably, to be fair, and they put 50 points on us the week before, just amplified how far away we are as well. But to be fair,
we're worlds
Scotland,
apart.
yeah,
I saw a really good stat on the weekend about the amount of money that the Scottish Rugby Union gives back to rugby, and it was like £10 million adrift. I think they're 39 million that they plough in.
Mm.
We're 29 million. But hey ho, we could always go and stay in the Welsh Rugby Union hotel or go and, take our lives into our own hands and walk on the roof. Can't think of anything worse.
No.
I'm not that kind of daredevil. Going and walking across the roof and abseiling down is not really my idea of fun. I don't know about you two.
I can see you up there, Rod, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'd do it for a giggle, but what I would say is that what it has over similar experiences in other cities is that Cardiff is quite low, so you can probably see a lot more of the city than you might do elsewhere when you're just sort of surrounded by high rise. So
Splot.
yeah, nice view of a Splo. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah, I
no
mean,
complaints.
I'm not jumping at it. I'm not asking for a ticket for that for my Christmas present,
50
certainly.
quid, mind.
Is that it?
50 quid for me to
Yeah.
get up there and cry and not be able to move. I think so. That's not happening anytime soon. But we're back to normal business, really, now, aren't we? We're heading into this week's URC, and in December we've got the first of our European games against Montpellier. And looking at this week's fixtures, then there's quite a few tasty little battles that we've got there. Friday evening we've got Warriors, Glasgow and Scarlets, and Ulster and Leinster. Then leading into Saturday, we've got Shark Stormers, Cardiff Dragons. So we've got the East Derby. We've
The
got
derby that isn't really a derby.
No, the other Welsh derby.
the other
Yeah.
the other one, the other one. Um, then we've got Connacht Bulls, Edinburgh Benetton, Munster Lions, and then we've got us against Zebra out in Zebra. So I think got a good weekend coming up, and it'll be
Mhm.
interesting to go back and see how everybody settles back in after the autumn internationals. We're obviously not where we want to be on the table. We're propping the bottom up a little bit at the moment, but I think going away into the next set of games now, I would hope that Zebra would be a W for us. How are you guys feeling?
I
Yeah,
mean, before we talk
I'm
about our
hoping that
game, sorry, go on, Rod.
I was just going to say I'm hoping that the boys will have had a good rest, and with our low sort of selection numbers within the Welsh squad, that they can come back, yeah, properly refreshed and have a good shot of going out and getting that W out in Palmer.
Yeah,
I was just going to say the shame for the whole round of fixtures this weekend is there's still one international to play on Saturday, Ireland, Australia. So you've got sort of Leinster and Ulster, for example, playing on Saturday. They're going
right.
to be playing off Friday, sorry, they're going to be sort of
Yeah,
second string teams or,
yeah.
non-international players. You'd imagine that the Springboks going back home are going to be rested this weekend as well. So, we're going to see a lot of changes, probably in some of these squads this weekend. Like you said, the good thing for us, Rod, is we've only got three players that were on international duty. Hardy, if you include the fourth that came in late and didn't get any. Well, did he come on eventually against South Africa? Didn't he, for the last few minutes?
Mm.
But obviously, Beard will be gone. Haven't heard any more about the severity of his injury.
Rumor is he's out for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
Post
so we've heard
Christmas,
potentially as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, and then I can't see Jack and Dewi playing, or certainly not starting this weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if they're taken as bench players, maybe. They've both played a big part this autumn. So like you said, it'll be down to the wider squad to try and get that win. And Zebra's going to be a tough, tough place to go. They're a difficult team at home to beat. And it's a real banana skin, I think, the first game back for us.
It can
Yeah,
be,
but we
yeah.
will have to go full hammer and tongs at it and just start this block
Absolutely.
off with a win, which is what
Yeah,
we failed to do in the last block, isn't it? When we had arguably our easiest fixture of the block. So we need to get off to a really good start, and that'll give us the momentum then up until Christmas.
yeah. And we're heading then, we've got the Lions the week after, Sunday afternoon fixture, and then we're heading across to Montpellier after that. And then we've got the Scarlets just before Christmas, which would traditionally be our Boxing Day
Mhm.
fixture. does look as though they're going to be doing lots outside the ground and doing sort of like a rugby festival again outside the ground, meet Santa for the kids. I think it'll only be a flying visit though, because Santa will be quite busy on the 21st, won't he? But it does allow it does allow people to have a little bit of a pre-Christmas outing. Hopefully it can be a big attendance. Looking at it, traditionally Boxing Day is always a big day, isn't it? Because nobody's really got anywhere to kind of go. So I'm wondering how we'll fare on the 21st, because people might still be running around and doing their bits and bobs, but might be a nice rugby day out for, pre-Christmas rugby day out for people. But yeah, heading into that block then, and then we've got Cardiff on New Year's Day. I quite like a little New Year's Day out, I'm not gonna lie. I've been up to Cardiff a couple of times on New Year's Day, looking at going again this year.
I've never
So
been to
let's see.
Cap.
Have you not?
Have you not?
No.
Do you want to come with me on New Year's Day, babe?
Yeah, can do. It's the only Welsh derby that I haven't done away at Cap.
Come with me and the boys.
Yeah.
That sounds really bad, doesn't it? Come with me and the boys, but you know what I mean. They can't say boys. They like John's the youngest one at for like 44. Yeah, I'll let you know when I'm booking tickets. You can come with us.
Yes, yeah, for sure,
Um,
for sure.
so
I
we're all
do want to
together.
tick them off all this season, do the set.
Yeah,
So
might as well. Might as well. Obviously
If
had a bit of a rash on social media, and I've not been here really to say, wow, last two episodes viewing figures on YouTube over 1K.
mhm.
Isn't.
Which one of
Yeah,
us
we
is
thought it
the
was a
lucky
fluke.
one though? We did think it was a bit of a fluke, didn't we?
Yeah, and then it happened again, so must be
Well,
doing
who
something okay.
knows? Who knows? We're doing it. We're doing all right. We're doing all right. We're obviously doing something good. Um, Lots of interaction as usual on social media and everything else. And we've had some questions through on Twitter, and we've had quite a number of questions through on Twitter this week. So I thought we'd chew the fat on those, go through those, and then we can go through our cartoon rugby 15s.
Yeah. Yeah. We're just fed up with that WRU chat, weren't we? So we thought we'd just have some fun this episode.
You
Yeah.
know
Um,
what? Yeah, I'm fed up.
Mhm.
So let's
we
have a
need
laugh.
it.
Maybe our 1,000 visits were down to the doom and gloom factor. Maybe people just enjoy doom and gloom. So if we go positive this week and it goes down to like 100,
We'll know what it is. We'll go
we'll
back
just go
to being
miserable next
sad.
week again then. Yeah.
Yeah. So quite a lot on Twitter this week. Twitter traction's kind of picking up, and I've had more interaction on Twitter this week than Instagram, which is the opposite for me, which is kind of like the pod really with YouTube and Spotify. So Simon on Twitter this week has asked, what injured players would we like to see back for the Zebra game? Now, bit of a curveball because I don't know who we've got injured for sure at this point in time.
I mean, Fender's
But
the obvious one. He came back for the
yeah,
development game, didn't he, last week? I don't
yeah.
know how long he was on the pitch for in that one and whether that makes him eligible
Mm.
straight away for this week, but he's on his way back, certainly. That'll be a massive boost to have him back in the second row. Potentially we can reshuffle things a little bit then in terms of the back row
Mm.
as well. So, he should be back within this block, certainly, but whether he's ready for this weekend, I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah. I can't remember how long Combia was out. Um,
I don't think we've ever
so
been told, have we?
no, I don't think it was anything major. Um, so it'd be interesting to see how long he's out for. Um, but I think
I did
until
knock up a bit of a spreadsheet a few weeks ago now, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, with all the current injured players marked on there. That may have changed over the last couple of weeks, as I
I
said,
don't know
but
whether that
I can
makes me
rattle
proud
through
of
those
you
quickly.
or sad for you.
Yeah, I mean, do you know why I started it? Because I wanted to look at average ages of the different squads that we're doing. So if everything's laid out in a spreadsheet, I can quickly select the 15 that's been picked for a weekend and see, cumulative stats. But yeah, that is pretty sad when I
Literally,
say
you've
it
lost
like
like
that.
3 hot points now. You've gone from
Yeah.
like being a solid 8 to a 5.
But it has probably added an extra 100 viewers onto our sort of YouTube probably.
Probably because
Nobody
we've got a stat or
spreadsheet
yeah.
keep now they'll want to do that as well now, yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well, to rattle through it quickly then, in answering the question, Rhys Henry I'd mark down as recovering on the sort of latter end of whatever injury he had, so he could be in line for coming back. Also recovering, I had Rhys Davis, James Fender, and when I put recovering, it's based on just what's been said in post-match interviews, little comments here and there, so there's no sort of accurate time estimate on those returns. But Will Griffiths. James Ratty, I've got marked as a return. And then there's quite a few marked as outright injuries. So we've got Hugh Sutton, Morgan Morse, Harry Deeves, Tristan Davis, Dan Edwards, Phil Cocknessinger, Avadi Boshoff, Luke Morgan, and Ryan Combia. So we are,
All.
we were a few players down at the end of the last block.
yeah,
Hopefully we're not in as bad a state as that now. Certainly a
yeah.
few names there that we haven't seen in quite a while that it would be really nice to see them running out again, such as a James Fenders.
And hopefully, once we see who has been picked for that game, we'll have a clearer idea for you to update your Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love
Yeah,
it.
once we start getting
That's
that
dedication.
information flow again.
I mean, Zebra
Um,
haven't been badly affected by internationals. I think by my count, sort of just did a quick recce earlier on, I think they only had 3 players involved for Italy regularly during this autumn. So they should be pretty much a sort of full strength this weekend. So hopefully we've got a strong team and a few of those injuries will be able to return. And the rest over the last 4 weeks will have done them good. Will have done them good. Looking at Instagram, quite a few of them seem to have been away on holidays
yeah,
due to this period and had a bit of a breather, which has been good. So hopefully they'll come back fit and ready.
Did I hear a story this week that the Italian RFU are going to look to sell Zebra and
I'd seen
invest in
something,
another
yeah.
team?
I'd
Is
seen
that the
something.
case?
saw a
Yeah.
rumbling of that, but
Yeah.
um,
That'd be a massive hit if that is the case. A lot of
would be a
investment just
shame.
down the drain in what would
Mm,
ultimately be declared a unsuccessful project.
yeah.
Um, I wonder whether you'd see a lot of those players just transferring immediately into the new
The
team that
new
they put their backing
structure,
behind.
Yeah.
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 Which kind of brings us nicely into another um throwaway question by Simon on Twitter about Foxy's comments on reducing the regions to 3 this week again. And I won't say your swear word, Simon, but it did make me chuckle about the never-ending debate about the number of regions. Seen some crazy ideas this week. Excuse me, guys. I've got a bit of a cold. Um, about having not only just the east, the west, and the north, but someone suggested a south, a mid, and a north. Now, I, I,
I mean,
Yeah,
what's the
well,
population of Mid Wales? Like 12?
it's sheep and
excuse
mountains.
me. I'm one of those.
Mark, nobody's
Basically,
suggesting it votes on me.
rugby-wise, you've got both Wells, Newtown, Welshpool, and I'm pretty certain there's no international players that are going to come from any of those teams. Yeah, I understand. I mean, the North Wales one I understand to a certain extent. However, RGC are not pulling up any trees in terms of Super Rugby. When the Scarlets used to bring games up here, they weren't terribly well attended. There wasn't a huge support. As much as I'd love to see a team based up in the north, um, ultimately the hotbed of rugby is in that M4
It's
corridor along the
Bobo.
south. It's
Yeah.
west to east, isn't it? That's where the teams are, and
But
that's
it's a
where the
moot
players
point
are.
now after the AGM. It's not even worth discussing. They've
Yeah,
ruled that out now, and they're not going to be
Yeah,
changing that stance for another period.
absolute madness.
Yeah.
Let's just put it to bed and leave it where it is. Um, Andrew, again, thank you for your question. One of his questions was thoughts on the team for Zebra. I think we just addressed that really. Um, one of the other rumours or one of the other articles that I've read this week that someone sent a question about is what do we think about the fact that St Helens is not going to be ready until after the international autumn international window next year. So they're suspecting that the first sort of 3, 4 games are going to be played out of Brewery Field because St Helens is just not going to be ready. Um, Personally, for me, I don't have an issue with going up to Bridgend. I don't have a problem with that. How other season ticket holders may feel about that, I don't know. Um, but kind of time is slipping away because we were originally hoping to be there for the start of the season, weren't we? So how confident do one of the questions was how confident do we think we are that we're going to be there and up and running for, say, after the autumn internationals next November?
I mean, I don't know about that specifically, but I had no confidence that we were going to hit the initial timeline because you'd expect to see things happening now on the ground,
Yeah,
really, based on the redevelopments that they're laying out. So, yeah, that's not surprising at all to me. Hopefully, it's not any later than the autumn internationals. I'm not against playing a few more fixtures down at Bridgend. I love them. It'd be nice to have a proper send off for
yeah.
Bridgend because they've served us so well over the last couple of seasons. The Bridgend Ravens have been really accommodating.
We've
It's
done well
been
there.
it's been a fortress for us. So it'd be good because if we stuck to the initial timeline, will have already had our last game at the Brewery Field, and it wasn't that much of a celebration. It was a good game, but probably the lowest attendance that we had there in a little while. So
Yeah,
it would be good to have a final hurrah at the brewery, market it as such, and yeah, have a good send off. Say thank you to the club.
yeah.
Yeah. It seems
Then
like this, the sort of cricket season's had an impact on this as well, isn't it? In terms of letting that
when
season
they stop
finish, that
playing.
they can't finish what they need to do in terms of laying the pitch and that kind of thing until the sort of cricket season's properly over. So, the cricket club will want to obviously have a send off themselves in terms of, playing there for the
Mm.
last time or whatever before they move. I don't know where they're
But that
moving.
should have been predictable.
Yeah,
You know when the season's run, that
yeah,
shouldn't have been
Yeah,
an
yeah.
unforeseen issue.
No.
Um,
And it is a shame that we're not starting, new season, new stadium would be such a huge, sort of relaunch of the Ospreys arena. That would have been the ideal scenario. But like you said, I'm obviously not in Swansea itself to see in terms of developments and things. But if they haven't broken ground and even haven't
there's
even started
not.
development yet, then it's not going to be ready,
What
is it?
they're
So,
intending to do is put a cover over the terrace. So it's undercover. They're obviously shifting the pitch. They're moving the stand, creating the new cantilever stand, um, making changes to the clubhouse and everything. I think the main thing for me, obviously, I say it time and time again, I'm kind of a champagne rugby supporter with the season ticket that I've got in the nest. But I think for me, it's about understanding the economics of the area that you're in. And I think we're slightly different to perhaps the likes of your Cardiff and your Gloucester and everything else. We don't have the economic viability down here to have those big corporate, season tickets. So it's making sure that, the people who go with their families, the people who are, paying for stretching themselves by getting a season ticket, making sure that they've got a good fan zone. Um, I've loved going to Dragons every time I've gone. They've got a really nice marquee with tables and stuff inside. And I know that perhaps that's not the vibe that the club is going for, but we know down there in St Helens, you're going to need some sort of cover. And if your clubhouse is going to be for your executive and your corporate staff, don't forget us little fans because it's very much still a working class sport in Wales.
mhm.
Just so don't price us out. Don't forget about us. Don't leave us out in the rain. Oh God, who am I sounding like? I'm sounding like don't leave me out in the rain. Who's that woman? But yeah, and break my
But that's
heart,
the
Tony
thing, though, isn't
Braxton.
it? That's the thing. You don't want it to be rushed through, do you? You want them to do
No,
it right. So I'm okay waiting a little bit longer
yeah,
if they get it right. That's absolutely
yeah,
no issue for me. And honest to God, when was the last time you heard of a development that stuck to its
yeah,
schedule and original timings? It could well be beyond the autumn internationals, and if that's the case,
yeah.
so
Just
be
be
it. That's just the way things
transparent.
work. There could be a thousand different unforeseen issues, between now and then. We've just got
Yeah,
to just be patient, really,
keep the
as
fans
fans.
updated. Keep the
Yeah,
fans updated. I think
that's
as
the
long
thing.
as
As
you
long
keep
as they're
your fans,
transparent.
yeah, keep your fans on side, and
Mhm.
you've got us. Um, Nick on Twitter. Nick, I have posted your notebook to you. Hopefully, you'll get that tomorrow if you haven't already got it. Um, how do we how do we rate our recruitment signings this week? How have the players we brought in shown promise? Well, I think love Conbeer coming in. Shame he got injured when he did because he was really starting to fit into the team. So I think he's somebody who could settle in quite well. And I think the other players who've come on board that we've taken from elsewhere, we've not really seen a great deal of them yet to
It's difficult to tell,
make
isn't it? We got
people
sort
of
of,
way.
yeah, I got sort of Cassende and
Mm.
Boskov, isn't it? That we haven't seen much of them yet. They've only just arrived really before the end of the last window. Obviously, we've seen a little bit of them
Yeah,
before as well, and they've got potential to fit into that team well, and it'll give us depth certainly in those sort of positions.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I mean, Combe is the shame really because he started the season really, really well, and that injury was such a pity for him because he's playing for a contract at the end of the day. I think he's still on
yeah.
a short-term deal, so hopefully he can come back and bounce back from that injury because he looked really, really promising.
Mm.
Boy can sniff out a try line,
Yeah,
and that's what you want, is you want to look solid in defence, but you want that little bit of magic at the back as well. Um, Another interesting question from Nick on Twitter as well, and I know this is circling back to the Welsh Rugby Union, but I thought it was really interesting. Um, Nick's actually read the 116-page AGM meeting notes.
yeah. I mean,
Get a life, Nick.
I have as
Get a
well.
life, Mark. Did you? Right, I'm going to say something now. How can you get the spelling of people's names wrong and the fixtures for the Judgment Day results wrong? And those are just two of the things that I picked up in the report. Did nobody proofread that before they sent it out? Now that gripped me
Yeah,
somewhat. But the other thing that Nick highlighted was about attendance by non-executive directors to scheduled meetings. So Jamie Roberts attended 11 out of 14 meetings. Amanda Bennett attended 12 out of 15, and Alison Thorne attended 12 out of 16. And these people are paid 15 grand a year. So they're kind of getting around about the grand and a half per meeting. Um, Not bad for a day's work, lads, is it? So
no,
if you
isn't
can't,
it?
if you, I get one meeting, you maybe not being able to attend, but when you're hitting three or four,
Yeah.
you're paying you
It's
for.
disappointing, isn't it? These are the people, especially somebody like Jamie Roberts. He's been put out there as somebody, as an ex-player who's going to have a say in terms of the future of the game, and he's got a sensible head on him, and this, that, and the other, and we're supposed to be putting the trust in the former players. So that's probably the
Yeah,
disappointing one of all of them, and the rest of them are sort of business people. But yeah, like you said, I wish I'd get paid 1,500 quid for every meeting I went to because I'd be a millionaire, I
I'd
think.
be
But
minted.
Mm.
I'd literally be minted.
We have contracts at work where we're paid for our attendance at meetings. It should be done on the same basis.
Yeah, pay
You
as you
miss a
go.
meeting, you miss that little pay packet.
Yeah,
I'll soon get them now, wouldn't it?
Yes, yeah.
you'd be there, wouldn't you? Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you claim to
Mhm.
be passionate about the support, about the sport. Well, do you know what? Show your passion. Um,
Mhm.
Another interesting question
Just
from,
on, just skipping back to Nick's previous one, Sam,
yeah, go
sorry.
for it.
It's worth mentioning because I don't think we mentioned on the pod yet so far that we've signed a new youngster utility back, 19 years old, Ian Cornelius,
Yeah.
I
who
saw
has
his
his
highlights
connections with
reel.
Morriston. Was that Sam?
I saw his highlights reel.
Yes, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. I mean, again, we've said this before. Highlight reel is a highlight reel by nature. It
Yeah.
is the best bits. We don't know how frequently he's pulling out some of those moves, but no, he looks like a good prospect. He was on the team sheet for the development game that we played against the Dragons, but at last minute I did manage to make my way down to that game, so I didn't get to see him in action. But he's somebody I'm looking forward to uh, seeing progression from over the next few weeks and months.
I think this is pretty much where I'm at now. I don't mind young, I don't mind inexperienced, as long as they learn from the losses that that they've had and the experiences that they've had. Um, it, don't want to go back to Gatland, but to a certain degree, we didn't bring the younger players through. So we didn't get players a chance in perhaps the games where we could have just gone, do you know what? Let's throw it to the wall. Let's just give these young players a chance. So for me, seeing the likes of these 19, 20, 21-year-olds come through, we've seen how mature Jack and there we are. Seen some amazing comments about Harry Deeves this week online as well, and about his scrummaging ability. You know, build on this youth, build on this. They will learn from it. A diamond's built from pressure. It's not. It's not built from just la 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 having an easy life. Um, so it'll be lovely to see that coming through, and I think we've just got to be patient,
Yeah.
and hold on.
But you do need those nurturers in camp then, don't you? It's
Yeah,
interesting looking this week at the news coming about that Liam Williams is going to be moving back to the UK imminently to join Saracens, and
was
there's
one
been
of
a
the
lot of
questions I
chatter.
had.
Was it? Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Lots of discussion online as to whether he would have been good for the some of the Welsh regions or whether he would be back in the international setup. I'd have him back there in a heartbeat, just because we're lacking that leadership. Even if he's not starting, even if he's not coming off the bench, just the presence of somebody like that in
Yeah,
camp is only going to be beneficial. Cam Winnett's been flogged since
yeah,
he's come into the
well,
setup. He's been out ride and die at 15 with nobody there sort of backing him up and giving him the confidence that he can have maybe a bit of an off day and come off and
it's all
hand the
right.
reins over to somebody who's really experienced. So we
Yeah,
need more of those in camp. We need more of the players that have left Welsh Rugby over the last couple of seasons, stepping up now and just coming in
being the
with
grandfather figure.
WRU back in,
yeah.
because it sounds as if WRU has been a barrier to this in some instances with Ken Owens, as you mentioned at the start.
Yeah.
They need to be brought in and used as mentors for the younger boys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know we said we weren't going to talk about the Wales team too much, but
I
I
know.
felt really sorry for Archie Griffin on Sunday. He
Mm,
got absolutely monstered, and then he got yanked off after
from
35
a
minutes
lad.
or whatever it was. He got
Yeah,
absolutely mullered in that one scrum, and it looked like he was being taken off. You know, making an example of him almost. And
mm,
he's another one who's played more international rugby than he's played club rugby.
mm,
Who's been thrown in at the deep end, and without an awful lot of experience around him to nurture him. And he could have come through, and other players like him, as you said, over the last couple of years, like Ireland are doing, like the Springboks have done, um,
yeah,
mixing that youth, but with the experience as well, bringing them through a few at a time, and blooding them that way. Whereas what we're left with now, like you said, is a team of 12 or 13 out of our 15 have got less than a dozen caps between them. It's
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's the thing with Archie, isn't it? You're bringing him off and bringing on somebody who's got what, eight,
yeah,
nine more caps than him.
It's nothing in the grand scheme of
Yeah,
things. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
and I did actually, bite in one of the URC groups the other day. Like, we know I'm no Scarlets fan, we know I'm no lover of thing, but somebody posted to say, why are we starting Costello against the world champions? Well, who else are we going to put there? You're going to put your boots on?
Mm.
Mm,
What's our options?
mm,
Because I'm not being funny. What else is there? You know,
mm,
why pinpoint him? None of them really, apart from both of them had a great game. Dewey had a great, I say great in the loosest term of the word. Um, but it you've got to build now for the future. You need a foundation now. It's not going to happen overnight. Um, and I think I mentioned on the pod with the URC champs last week, we mentioned something similar about having the older heads in the squad. And I think very much so any team can benefit from it.
mhm,
NFL has practice squads.
Mm.
They've got career pathways, they've got development pathways. So these people are not necessarily involved, but if the time comes for them to make a step up, they know how the team works, they know the
Yeah,
structure of the team, they know, how to slot in. They've played with these guys, they practice with these guys. We don't have that squad strength at the Ospreys. None of the regions do. But, if we had a more responsible union who put more money into the game and we had more money, then yeah, we could have the likes of A teams and
Yeah.
development squads and things
Mm.
again. So, that's something that we need to aim for. And perhaps that's not a now thing. That's perhaps a 5 years time thing when, the money is starting to come in and is starting to roll in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really interesting. How do you feel about Liam Williams coming back and going to Saracens? Well, obviously Saracens think he's good enough to still have a run out. You
Yeah.
know, um, we have lost a lot of old heads. We have lost a lot of experience. You know, Ospreys have lost, people like Nicky Smith, Tom Francis. We've lost people to other regions. If Beard goes, we lose that. And again, the amount of hate for Beard online, he does a lot of unseen dirty work. If you look at that lad's stats,
Mm.
it's a lot of the unwanted stuff that he does that doesn't really garner a lot of attention.
And
Um,
the sort of problem is then we've got these good players like Beard, like sort of Costello. We know Beard is probably leaving at the end of the season,
yeah,
whether injury affects that now. Costello, there's lots of rumours about him possibly going to Leicester.
yeah,
With the abuse that these players get from the Welsh
don't blame
public,
him.
why would you stay? Plus, not taking into account the sort of financial side of it as well. They can earn far more by going to England, by going to France. And why would you stay and get the abuse that they get when you can go overseas or
Yeah, it's a
go and
short
earn more
career.
money and have a better experience as well?
Yeah,
Mm.
we don't have a fly half factory in Wales anymore. We don't, you know, and that's the bottom line. It,
Yeah.
it that is it. Um, and looking at it, then yeah, it seems pretty dismal now. But Mark, you're the age of same age as I am. We thought it was pretty dismal heading out of the 90s into the early
Yeah.
2000s.
Yeah, we've been there, haven't we? And we've
Been there,
recovered
done
and we've
it.
come
How,
back.
how does this compare feeling wise?
This is shit.
It's a more prolonged one, I think. I think going back to was in 98 when we lost 96-13 or whatever to sort of South Africa, that had been sort of building a little bit, but it wasn't over such a prolonged period. There wasn't like a whole 12-month period of not winning a
No.
game.
Mm.
We were still winning games that we should win and getting battered in games that we were expecting to lose. But this feels longer lasting and it feels like
This
there's no
feels
way out of it.
younger.
It feels like there's sort of no way out of it as well.
Mm.
I know we've said on the pod before, looking at the fixtures we've got coming up now in the six nations. I think I said last week I can't see really where the win's going to come from next.
No.
You think you got France away, Italy, England and Ireland at home, Scotland away. We could quite easily lose all those games.
Yeah.
And then you're up to 17 games without a win.
Yeah.
It just,
Do you
yeah,
think
it
it would
just
have been more worthwhile this autumn playing some teams lower down in the world rankings, some of the quote unquote tier two nations?
if we wanted to win, yeah. Because realistically, that's the kind of teams that we're competing against now, isn't it? It's your Georges, your
What would we have
Portugal, your
beaten
Italy.
Georgia?
Well, maybe not, maybe
That
not.
is the question mark.
But then
Um,
the attendances wouldn't come to the stadium, would they? They wouldn't sell 50, 60,000 tickets to see a Georgia or to see a
the number
Portugal.
of empty seats though on the
Oh,
weekend,
I know.
like my friend Neil went, and apparently they announced the attendance as 65 something or other. It didn't look like 65,000 in there. It didn't sound
Appa-
like 65,000 in there.
Apparently, they were giving away tickets last minute to NHS workers just to fill seats.
Right.
And I'm going to sound a snob now. You are going to have your daffodil head, whereas we're going to go and pay the money because of the sense of occasion, not necessarily because of what's going on in the field. And rugby's a broad umbrella. They're welcome. If they want to pay and they want to invest, carry on. But that's where your money's going to come from now. I think for me, heading out of the 90s, we had quite a successful team in Swansea with your likes of Scott Gibbs, Jarvis, Andy Moore, and all that kind of thing. We still had quite a few star quality players within the Welsh squad around that time. Um, it doesn't feel like we've got that this time.
No.
It feels like we've got a very, very young, and when I say immature, I mean in terms of playing time against the big boys squad. And I think it will take time to build. Um, I don't think really as a rugby player, unless you're, a prodigy, then you don't really settle into your rugby playing career until sort of like 27, 28, really, do you? You've
Mhm.
got your battle scars at that time. You've been around the block a bit. You've had your knocks.
Mm.
And that's why it feels different this time because you are, 21, 23, 25. They need those little knocks. And I
And
just
that's
think,
where Wales A would be perfect, wouldn't it? In just developing that
Yeah.
next generation.
yeah,
Who do you reckon would be in to a Wales A squad from the Ospreys that currently isn't getting called up to um, the main squad? I
I mean,
mean,
that's
there's the
where a Dan
obvious ones.
Edwards, for example, would be
Yeah,
ideal in that role. I mean, I'm
yeah,
terrified about the Six Nations that there's suddenly, let's say Dan Edwards has a really good December, Costello's looking shaky, and
yeah.
then they suddenly throw him into
Lions down.
to the Six Nations or whatever in January, February time. An A team would be an ideal step up for him at the moment. I dread to think, as good as he could be, he isn't the finished article yet, and he could be absolutely ruined going straight into the Wales squad
Yeah,
come.
we don't want that.
So
Um,
that's where, yeah, he would fit into that role. Certainly, Ratty maybe the other one that jumped to mind with me possibly as well.
yeah, and it, I'm getting a little bit sick of the face fits kind of thing as well. Um, we know Warren's got his style of players that he likes, but I think he has to acknowledge at this point in time that there's those big chunks of lads. We ain't got many of those at the minute, so perhaps he does need to think outside the box a bit with
Mhm.
regards to size and everything else.
You know what was
Um,
unbelievable on Saturday, talking about size, Llewellyn was our biggest back
I know.
and meant to be our main ball carrier. He didn't have a single carry
Yeah,
Saturday,
yeah.
not a
yeah.
single carry, and that's meant to
He's
be
not
Gary.
bigger than Eddie James, though, is he? Because Eddie
No, I
James
don't so.
looked big when he came
He
on. He
did,
was the only
yeah.
one who, if you lined him up in amongst those South Africans who would look of the same mold, he did
Yeah.
look big.
And he isn't fully developed either yet. He's
Yeah.
obviously got a lot of bulk to put on, and he's still
Yeah.
growing probably at the age that he is. So, he could be quite a fearsome sight going forward.
And
Yeah,
it needs
yeah.
to be the right bulk as well. And it's not
Mm.
something that needs to be instantaneous. I think it needs to be kind of slow progress when you're bulking and with something like that. Um, but I do think we could really do with an A structure. We really could.
Mhm.
Because I can remember, got Mark, you probably can as well, when you had your Six Nations A games, you had your same tournament and you had your
Yeah.
A games, and they'd usually play on the Friday, wouldn't they?
And they'd often play them up here as well. They brought them to
Yeah,
Wrexham quite often. So I've got,
yeah.
went to a lot of A games over the
And
years.
it was great to watch, but I think we just gotta keep the faith, keep holding on, watch what happens, and as I say, we can have a discussion around the review when that is finally announced.
We have a
Um,
jolly Christmas special on the 18th of
we'll have a
December, whatever
Christmas
it is.
special on the Welsh Rugby Union review. Um, did you see, Rod, that I've started contacting your boy on Twitter to see if I can get him on as a Christmas present with you?
Who? No, I haven't. I've been absent from
Messaged Morgan
socials.
Morris, went on Ospreys Irie without pals at the Ospreys Irie.
I saw a good
Messaged him,
episode.
said, "Do you want to come on, make Rod's Christmas?" He hasn't come back to me yet, but I will keep banging on that drum. Don't you worry.
That
And
might have been a media obligation that he has got within his contract that he no longer needs to satisfy.
listen, I got news. I'm on the Osprey Supporters Club committee now, guys.
Nice one.
Yes.
And just in case, because loads of people don't know, if you've got a season ticket, you are automatically a member of the Osprey Supporters Club.
Mhm.
So, I will be over the Riverside um, over the next few home games, getting involved with some committee stuff. And it does sometimes involve interviewing players. So let me see what I can do.
We
Woman on
got an
the
inside
inside,
person now.
I'm your inside woman. Um, but that kind of is it for our questions. But to everybody who's watching, we had a bit of a. I saw a TikTok today, and funnily enough, I did see stuff over the weekend when I was watching South Africa play. Every time I see CJ Stander, I always think of Mr. Invincible from The Invincibles.
Yes, me
He's a
too.
spitting, he is, isn't he? He is the spitting image of him. Um, and then I kind of had a little look and I thought, who else reminds me of Disney characters? And then Eddie Jones reminds me of Phil from the Hercules film. Now think about this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he does, doesn't he?
that's
Sam
not a bad
Rockwell
shout.
sometimes reminds me of Woody from Toy Story. But we thought it would be quite an interesting thing if we did, and I sent the guys a TikTok about a cartoon rugby 15. So we've kind of come up with our own rugby 15s, but I kind of went with a Disney 15. Mark, you've gone with kids' cartoons
Just random
15.
cartoons, yeah.
But I also
Oh, hi.
then was thinking in the bar, which is sometimes where I do my most, amazing thinking, about my Marvel Avengers 15. Um, and that was pretty problematic. So, Mark, do you want to start with yours first off?
Oh, go on then. Shall I just rattle through it? So at
Go
15,
for it.
15, I've got Buzz Lightyear because he thinks that he can fly, so he should be good under the sort of high ball. Hopefully, you can see I've put a bit of thought into this.
Yeah.
Two very obvious wingers, Roadrunner on one wing, Dash from The Incredibles on the other wing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Snap.
Um, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
At 12, I've got Popeye, but after he's eaten his spinach, get a bit of
Oh, I've got Popeye at 6.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I thought
I
a
just
little bit of
reckon with
bulk
those
going forward.
forearms, he'd be a
Yeah.
he'd be a menace in the ruck. Once he's got his hands on on the ball, you're not
That's
getting him
very
off.
true, actually. Yeah. At 13, then to complement him, I've got Jerry from Tom and Jerry, as in the mouse. He'd be quite an elusive runner. You're saying we haven't got any fly halves on the sort of Welsh fly halves, whatever you want to call it. What was it? The Max Boyce song,
Fly Half Factory.
the Fly Half Factory. Yeah. So at 10, I've got Fireman Sam. Um,
Yes.
One, he's Welsh. He's a cool, calm leader, so I think he'd be a good sort of controlling the game at 10. I've paired him up then with another Welshman, Super Ted at 9. He's fearless, he's brave, quite nippy as well. So I think that 9-10 combination, a nice sort of Welsh sort of combination there. Into the pack, I've got Homer Simpson at 1.
Mhm.
Um, he's got all the bulk in the world, so you couldn't shift him. I'd be a bit worried about his play around the field generally. He might not have a very high work rate, but he'd just scrimmage, wouldn't he? I think he wouldn't have to do anything else. Um, I've gone away from the kids' cartoons then on Ty Ted, and I've got Cartman from South Park.
I'm
And
doing a really good Cartman impression.
I mean, one is huge, but you'd also be lippy as well. So you'd be lipping at his opposite prop all the time as well.
Kamala.
A bit of banter with him as well. Scooby-Doo at hooker. You'd have to put Scooby snacks all over the ball. And he'd stick his head anywhere then for his sort of Scooby snacks from there. Um, One obvious second row, Mr. Tall, obviously, in the second
Mhm.
row from Mr. Men. Sully from Monsters Inc. Sort of more of a bulk at 5. And I think he'd be good for a pint in the sort of clubhouse afterwards as well. Seems like a good lad as well. Um, I've gone in my back row. I've gone Miss Piggy at 6. She'd be the team's enforcer.
Love
So
her.
any hassle, Miss Piggy would be there with her sort of hi and all that kind of business. Yeah, do all that at
Yeah.
6. Um, Dennis the Menace at 7 because he doesn't follow the rules like all sevens
Would be a
don't follow the rules of
menace.
rugby, so he'd be in there. And then He-Man at 8, be
Mm.
a good ball carrier, big, strong, probably quite quick as well. So yeah, that's my cartoon 15.
Amazing. Rod, who you
That's a good
got?
one. So I've got a full pack. And then I'm missing a few positions in my back line. I'll try do it in Mark's structure as well, going 9 to 15. Sorry, going 15 to 9 and then 1 to 8.
Just to
And
fry
I've
your
probably
brain.
gonna mess it up, yeah, a few times and get confused myself. So starting at 15, I haven't got anyone at full back, but I did, like you, Mark, have Roadrunner on one of the wings and Sonic the Hedgehog on the other.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Then in the midfield, at outside centre, I've got Tarzan, just because he's a
Yes, I
unit.
had that.
Not much going on upstairs, but if you just sort of tell him, run
He's
straight,
pretty.
use that athletic ability, yeah, and the hair will be flowing, it'll be glorious. Haven't got anyone inside him or at 10, but I have got Dennis the Menace at 9 because I thought, yeah, just little antagonist. 90% of what he can do can just be sort of winding up the opposition. And then when he needs to, he can send Nasher into the scrum to or into the ruck to retrieve the ball for him, bite some fingers. Then looking at the forwards, I have also got Homer at number 1. Obvious choice, really. Again, not much going on upstairs. Just relay a simple message and get him to just use his heft. I got King Louis from the Jungle Book at hooker because I thought just those big arms really just pull that scrum together. He's probably quite good at slinging some balls as well. I've got Pumba at 3. I don't know how that would work anatomically with him going down in the scrum. Probably be breaking some bones just to try and get his legs in some awkward positions. But
Don't
you
overthink
know,
it.
in
Don't
theory.
overthink it.
So yeah, it doesn't get yeah.
Um, for my locks, I have got similar to you, Mark, but not quite the same way of thinking. I've gone for Mr. Stretch rather than Mr. Tall because
Okay.
I figured just with his long arms, doesn't even need to jump. He can just get right up there, catch a ball, back of the line out, no problem. And I've got Sully as well. And then for my back row, I've got Popeye at 6, Tasmanian Devil at 7, and Baloo the Bear at number 8.
Ooh.
So nice,
Hmm.
diverse back row there with a couple of different specialisms. I enjoyed that. That was fun.
Yeah, well, I stuck to Disney, purely to Disney. So I will also follow Mark's.
I hope this is just Disney princesses specifically.
No, I did try and do a Disney princess one, but then I introduced Princess Leia and I could feel John looking at me as if to say she's not a Disney princess.
Not Disney,
But
no.
Star Wars is part of Disney now, so I would argue that she is. However, for my fallback, I actually went Woody from Toy Story because he's very calm, he keeps all the toys in place, and he's good if he's got a snake in his boots. Um, then for my wings, I went for Dash on the left and Lightning McQueen from Cars
Mm.
on the
Hmm.
right. My centres then were Tarzan and Beast from Beauty and the Beast
Ah, that's good. I like
because
that.
he's going
Yeah.
through you, and he is
Mm.
absolutely going through you. Then I have got my 9 and 10 pairing. At 9, I've got my boy Stitch. Small, vicious, hairy, multiple arms. Could be quite handy. And then I've had to go with the OG Mickey Mouse at 10.
Mm.
He's in charge of everything at Disney. He'll know how to control these and he'll be absolutely fine. Then, starting for my loose head, I've got Sully from Monsters Inc. And I've partnered him with Mike Wachowski from Monsters Inc. at Hooker because duo. And then tight head, Winnie the Pooh. You put some honey on that bear, there's nobody who's getting that ball.
Yeah.
Like literally. My second rose then I've gone for Baloo from Jungle Book. Big lad, long arms. And it's got to be Hercules.
Mm.
Got to be.
Yeah.
And
That's
then I've gone for Gaston on the blind side. Now, this is a bit left field, and you may think they've gone a bit left field, but Robin Hood from Robin Hood. Now, he's a sly one, and he got jewels out of King John's ring just by sucking. So that boy can steal stuff. So he's there. Put him in as my 7, and then at 8, I've just gone for pure power with Maui. What can I say? You're welcome.
yeah, yeah.
Pretty
That's
That's
good.
my
strong.
strong Disney 15.
I
Pretty
wouldn't
good.
want to face that.
No. And then I kind of did sort of an Avengers 15, if you want to hear that.
Go on,
Yeah,
rattle through.
Rattle through. So I'll start with one because it's easier. So I've got Thor,
yeah.
Drax, and Thanos as my front row. Quite
Mhm.
strong, quite
Thor,
prepared.
Thor in his fat beer belly stage.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Dad bod Thor. Dad bod
Yeah.
Thor. And then we have got Korg, who's the rock guy from Thor, who's really stupid. Groot, Nick Fury, Nebula because she's hard and she's mean. And then I've gone for Hulk at my number 8. My absolute favourite is Rocket Raccoon at 9. Again, short, vicious, hairy, really sassy, bit of a gob. Had to be Iron Man at 10. Gone for Black Panther at 11, Captain America at 12, Scarlet Witch at 13, Star-Lord at 14, and then Captain Marvel as my fullback.
Mm, I like it. There's a
Yeah.
couple of names in there that I didn't know. I'm not biggest Marvel geek, but I like
Um,
it.
I
I mean,
know.
they're all very samey, aren't they? They're all just like big Adonises.
Just like,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I am. Because I was then thinking I could actually have done a Star Wars thing, but my theme for my nines has all been short, vicious, and hairy. So my 9 for Star Wars would have been Wicket, the Ewok, because
Oh yeah.
he's just fab. So what I would love is if the people who watched this also send us their 15s and we'll shove them up on our social media and just something a little bit light-hearted, really, to cheer us all up.
Let's face it,
Um,
South Africa would beat all those teams, though, wouldn't they?
yeah, but at least, well, I don't know, mate, not my Avengers 15.
Oh, they'd find a way.
Do you reckon?
They'd find a way. Yeah.
Mm, yeah, maybe. Mm, yeah, possibly so. But I don't
Do we
know,
want
look,
some
though.
an Ospreys themed game? I've got quick 6
Go
Ospreys
for it.
fact or fiction statements here if you want them that have
Absolutely. I'm
pulled
happy. Go
together.
for it.
Okay, so 6. What you've got to decide, you've got the power of choice now, is whether you're against each other or whether you're deliberating and answering as a team. What do you fancy? I think you should team up, and then maybe next time
We
we can
can
put you
team
head
up,
to
yeah.
head.
We'll be competitive.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. So feel free to discuss and deliberate, and we'll start you easy. So fact or fiction? The Ospreys have won more Pro 12 and Pro 14 titles than any other Welsh team. Start you easy.
True.
True.
Yeah, that is fact. We've won 4 titles more than any of the other Welsh regions. Scarlet's coming up in second with 2. So question 2 or statement 2. Kieran Williams once played as a prop during his junior rugby days.
Oh, no, I could see that.
Yeah, junior rugby. Yeah. Yeah, he's got the build, doesn't he? Potentially. He might have.
Yeah.
You going
Should
fact?
should we go fact
Fact.
on that one?
True.
It's fiction. He's
Ah,
always played at centre. But
Right.
I did
apologies,
pick him
Kieran.
specifically because that does sound plausible, doesn't it? It doesn't sound too far-fetched. If he was a chubby kid and he's since turned that into muscle, that's believable. Statement 3. Duncan Jones was the first Ospreys player to reach 150 caps. Fact or fiction?
Mm. I say that's probably true.
True. Yeah, we'll go for true.
Fact, yeah.
Fiction.
Oh,
Ah, crap.
Rod, man, we're going
That
to
title
us.
goes to Paul James. Paul James was the first
Uh,
Ospreys player to reach 150 caps.
you're making
He won't
runs
come
of
on
us
now,
here,
will
Ross.
he?
That's probably one of the harder ones. Anyway, halfway through, 3 more to go. Statement 4. Osprey's current head coach, Toby Booth, previously worked as an electrician before his rugby career. Fact or
I
fiction?
believe that's true.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. True.
Going with your gut?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. He was a qualified electrician before attending St. Mary's University College, where he studied sports science.
He's good at
Number
creating
5.
spark mind, isn't he? Boom, boom.
Number 5. Owen Watkin has more Ospreys caps than Richard Fussell. Fact or fiction?
Ooh, I bet this is really close as well.
Mm. I'm
Oh,
tempted to say false.
yeah, so
Have
am
you got
I.
any guesses as to where you're right, Mark? They are close, roughly where they are.
60 something, maybe?
No, we're
No.
way out.
Way out, am I?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Go on, surprise us.
Watkin had his 100th cap
Oh, wow.
16 caps ago, so he's on
Oh,
116.
wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So
last
the
a
question
lot.
is, has he had more than Fussell?
I think Fussell might have more.
More.
No, wrong.
Ah!
Watkin has three more. 116 against 113 for Fussell. So
Oh,
yeah, I
you're a
purposely
hard
picked.
question
You are
setter.
hard.
Well, I never would have even come close with Fussell. But I thought
We're
maybe
not
you
rugby
guys might have
losers, are
had
we?
a bit of a ballpark in your head. I certainly thought you would have known that Watkin was over 100 caps since that will have come in the last season.
We don't mind.
Okay, final
It's
one.
late as well, 20 past 9 as well. It was past my bedtime now.
Yeah, again, delirious. Final one. Dan Lydiate scored more tries for the Ospreys than Jack Morgan, who's currently on 4.
Yes, true.
Must have done.
No,
Oh.
fiction. Dan Lydiate scored just one try in his first 8 seasons at the Ospreys
But
from 2014
is
to
that all?
2022, before scoring two more in his final season for us before leaving for the Dragons. So he only had three in his career. So he is one behind Jack Morgan, who's currently
Blinking
on
heck.
4.
Well, there
Yeah.
we are, Sam. That's just proved we know absolutely nothing about the
Yeah, I
Nothing.
think you got like 1 out of 6
Thank
there.
God we good looking.
Ospreys.
Um,
We learned something anyway. We learned something.
Yeah.
got another
Look,
bone to pick with you
look out
two as
next week,
well.
Rod.
Making enemies now.
Last week, last week, you didn't do a Sam's Rando.
We couldn't do it
No.
without you, Sam. It wouldn't have been the
Sent,
same.
sent it to him, but we didn't do it.
Well, I haven't looked at it if you want to recycle that one.
No. That ship has sailed now. Um, last I asked it on the URC Chumps podcast, and it was if someone was going to make a movie about you, who would play you in the film about you? And I couldn't think of who it was. And John said that woman in Sister Act, and I said, because I'm stupid, what, Whoopi Goldberg? He did not mean Whoopi Goldberg. He meant Cassie Najimy, because it is a bit of a party trick of mine that I put a tea towel on my head and sing "I Will Follow Him." But we won't recycle that one. We have started taking it in turns to pick Christmas films to watch of an evening. And I'm going to ask you that age-old debate: Die Hard, Christmas film or not?
Christmas film. Christmassy enough for me.
Definitely.
Yeah. Hmm.
Set of Christmas, it's got Christmas songs,
Exactly.
you know, and it's not Christmas until you see Hans Gruber go off the side of the Nakatomi Plaza.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not just a
I'm with you
Christmas
there.
movie, one of the top three Christmas movies, I'm going to say.
Ooh,
Hmm.
what's your top three then?
What's my top three? Okay. Nightmare Before Christmas, which we've already discussed whether it's Halloween or a
Love
Christmas film.
that.
I'll
It's
watch it
both.
on both and it goes top three on either. And I've got to put Elf in there as well. Although I do like Miracle on 34th Street as well.
Love Elf. Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad.
I don't
We
know if I
love
can do
Elf.
top three, but my number one at the moment is Klaus. When I saw it a couple of years ago when it came out, it's a relatively new
The
one. Jumped
horror
right to
one.
the pardon?
The horror one.
No, no.
What am I thinking?
It's just a really nice, heartfelt cartoon about Christmas. It's like out in Lapland, and
Oh,
it's like a
yes, yes, yes.
non-Christmassy Christmas film in the sense that he's not overtly Santa Claus. It's like the inception of Santa as just like a toy
Ah.
maker in the sort of woods of the North Pole. It's lovely. It's so good. Really, really good film. Jumped right to the top of the list for me.
Oh,
You've not seen
that's
it yet, Sam?
no. I'll put that on the list because we're
Add it
taking
to the
it
list.
in turns.
Yeah.
Um, I love Elf. I do love Elf. I do love Die Hard. But for me, Christmas film wise, and I know this is probably up there with lots of people, I love It's a Wonderful Life. It gets me every single year. Every year I know what's coming. I know Clarence is going to get his wings. It always makes me cry, but it genuinely just does something in the feels here. However, I am rather partial, and we're going back to being a youngster now. Santa Claus the movie with Dudley Moore.
Yeah. Good.
Absolutely love that film. Um, if I were to tell you something, and this, oh, the year that that came out, right, my mum paid my brother to take me to the pictures to see it, and it was the old Odeon on the Kingsway, Marc,
Yeah, yeah.
above the Tesco's, and we were queuing to go and see Santa Claus the movie, and there was another big blockbuster that came out that year at the same time as Christmas, and it was a little movie called Back to the Future with Michael J. Fox, and my brother decided he didn't want to go and see Santa Claus the movie, even though my mum paid him. He decided he wanted to go see Back to the Future with his friends. So I went to see Back to the Future instead of Santa Claus the movie. And then my brother battered me on the way home and threatened me with death if I told my mother that he hadn't taken me to see Santa Claus the movie. So I had to lie to my mother. And we're talking at the time now where I still believed in Santa. So I full on believed that I was going to get called for Christmas because I'd lied to my mother that I'd gone to see this film. And do you know what's even worse? And you wouldn't do it now. My brother made me sit at the front of the cinema by myself in a crowded cinema while he sat at the back with his friends.
Oh,
I was like 7.
you were really posh though. You went to the Odeon to see Back to
We went
the
to the
Future.
Odeon.
I went
Didn't go
to
to the
that old
castle.
cinema that was in the chapel
Oh yeah,
to see Back to the Future. It was like an old church. Can't remember where it was now, towards the Bramham Hall, somewhere up that way, I think.
yeah,
And that's where I saw Back to the Future. And it was literally like a vestry of a chapel with old sofas and stuff in there and things. And
yeah.
that's where I saw Back to the Future.
Oh, honest to God, he literally battered me. And even now, whenever he's on telly, he rings me and he's like, I gave you the future without you knowing. And now, when I think about it, it was quite cool seeing Back to the Future. But back then, I really wanted to see Santa Claus the movie. And just lying to my mother, I was petrified she was going to find out and I won't get any presents for Christmas. Absolutely devastated. But this is only one of the mean things that my brother's done to me. But I'll add Klaus to the list, Rod.
Mhm.
Um, But I suppose that brings us. I hope you've enjoyed this little fun episode for our 13th episode, guys. Please send us your comedy 15s of anything, really, anything that you fancy. Doesn't have to be cartoon characters or Marvel or anything else. Rod, my challenge to you is I want a Lord of the Rings 15.
Oh, 100%. I've thought about that before. So yeah, it wouldn't take me
Where are
long.
we going to shove Gimli the dwarf?
He's a hooker if ever I've seen
He
one.
is, isn't he?
Yeah.
He
Oh
is.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Especially
yeah,
if it's full-size John Rhys Davis, because he's a
yeah.
monster of a man,
He's huge,
despite
isn't
how he
he?
looks. All the
Absolutely
special
huge.
effects and the tricks of the camera. He's the biggest guy on set. So if you got John Rhys Davis, Christ will probably be second row. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah,
I might do a boy band 15 just for giggles.
yeah. Maybe this week we'll all do. We'll go away and find a subject that interests us and do a 15 around it.
15.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. And if
Hmm.
anybody else who's listening wants to do a 15, tag us in, pop it on Twitter, pop it on Instagram, tag us in. Because I love this crazy kind of thing. It just really amuses me on days when, it's a bit bleak for us Welsh rugby fans. We'll obviously all be watching over the weekend and tweeting and various other bits and bobs. Rod's going to pop our banner up.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for sticking with us for 13 episodes. We are so grateful. Um, Rod just needs to find the buzzwords now to make sure that this episode gets 1,000 views as well.
I feel like the pressure's on now.
It is on. You've got to get this.
Below
You've
that,
got to get
it's going to be
got to get
disappointing.
the algorithm right.
Yes, yeah.
But have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Enjoy very much watching the URC. That is back, and we will be back next week with episode 14, where we're back to our normal URC roundup. And it's December. We know what that means. Christmas jumpers!
Is that next
Rather
week?
sorted, Sam, you'll be all right.
Yeah, it's next week. I want a Christmas jumper every day throughout December. I might forgive you, Rod. Are you still away by that point?
I'll be away. I'll be away. I'll be watching the game this weekend from a tavern. Depends what the time of the game is, but either from the beach or from a taverna in 20 degrees sunny Cyprus.
Oh,
So yeah,
my
not
glasses are
complaining.
falling down my nose. Oh,
With a fish platter in front of me and a beer in my hand.
fine. You're fine. Well, have a lovely time anyway. Mark and I are not jealous at all.
No, we'll stay
We hope
freezing
you have a
Wales
great
on.
time.
Yeah.
And we will see you all next week. Have a great week, everyone. Thank you very much, boys, for another interesting week. And this is us signing out.
Cheers all.
Bye.
Bye.